Hi guys, welcome back. So let's have a look at Ireland's World Cup campaign, which wasn't very good to be honest, and have a look at what went wrong and where do they go from here. But before I get into it, just remember, like, the context of this, you know, my channel really supports Ireland. I've been behind Ireland all the way, been very excited to follow their journey, and they've done some fantastic things. So this isn't bashing Ireland, their players, their coach. It's just looking purely technically at what could have gone so wrong, because they were playing so well in 2018, and compared to how they played in the World Cup, it was just chalk and cheese. So something massive must have happened. So first of all, what's the question? Now for me, it's not why didn't they beat New Zealand. The way New Zealand played in that quarter-final, I'm not sure anyone could have beaten them. They were that good. The question is, why didn't they get close, or, you know, even give themselves a chance? And more importantly, why didn't they just give their all? Why didn't they perform close to their best? Because it was so far away. Something wasn't right at all. So, one question is, why didn't they advance their game plan from 2018? Now you look at New Zealand, they completely overhauled their game plan. England are adding layers to their game plan, and Ireland decided to double down, go for the green machine as I call it, and pretty much keep the game plan the same as it was in 2018. Now, I don't know if that was such a bad call, to be honest, because they were playing so well it was working, and were the Irish players used to playing in a more advanced sort of way with offloading, running support lines? You saw it a little bit in this World Cup, but they didn't look that comfortable. And if you're not used to doing it, you're having a lot of success, it suits the players you've got, why not keep going? So even if they'd stuck exactly to the game plan they had, which it pretty much was, why couldn't they execute it the same as they'd been doing? It is really puzzling. So first of all, fitness. Was it fitness? No, absolutely no way could it be fitness. Every single team in that World Cup was absolutely peak of their conditioning. They've had, you know, weeks and weeks together. The strength and conditioning team couldn't have got it drastically wrong, and they didn't look unfit to me at all. Was it poor selection? I'm not sure I'm buying that either. Toner was left out. Would he have made a difference? I'm not sure lineouts was the problem. And some injuries limited to the things they could have changed. For example, they could have given Carbery a lot more game time at 10 and maybe tweaked some of the tactics down to him, but then he got injuries before the World Cup and he just came back into it. The other thing they could have done to possibly change things was to say to Rory Best, sorry, you're just not cutting it, and put Cronin in. But again, it ended up him being injured in the World Cup anyway. But they could have done that, I guess. But generally, the best players were there. They were playing. Levy not playing maybe is a massive difference, but it doesn't explain why everyone else underperformed. And, you know, was it effort? Not really, not that I could detect. From knowing the Irish players, I just can't see it being effort. So, what did happen? Well, one thing is their skill execution was nowhere near what it should have been. Absolutely not. The green machine, as I call it, relied on perfect skill execution. You think back to the amazing comeback against France when they go the length of the pitch, get the drop goal. That's perfect execution. Sexton and Murray hadn't been 100% in this World Cup, but does that explain it all? I'm not sure. Now, you kept getting things in the media saying we're a little bit flat, we're a little bit low on confidence, you know, things aren't quite right, we're up, we're down, and I think that is more where the issue was. So here's my theory. Number one, at the beginning of the World Cup warm-ups, Ireland were pretty fragile mentally, I thought. They'd had a poor Six Nations, had some bad beatings, and they, you know, had a shock that they weren't quite as good, or their game plan wasn't quite as good, both of those, as they thought it was in 2018. I think they genuinely thought they'd hit upon a gem, and then all of a sudden it didn't work a couple of times, and it rocked them a bit. Anyway, that's one disappointment, and you can get over from that. And then they came back to the Rugby World Cup warm-ups, and they got an absolute stuffing from England, and it just struck them, I believe, that they were actually miles behind the curve. They thought maybe it was a blip in the Six Nations, the warm-ups were showing, it wasn't. And then straight away, what can you do? Can you kid yourself that things are okay, that the game plan's good enough, that we can generally win the World Cup? I think the realisation dawned that they'd missed a trick. They were miles behind, not through effort. It was just, you know, a mistake, a big mistake that maybe they couldn't have done much about. But from then on, the deep down truth was there. They weren't going to win this World Cup. They weren't ready. They didn't have the game plan. And other teams had moved on massively, more than they'd thought. So, is this self-fulfilling prophecy? If deep down you know maybe you're not good enough and maybe the game plan's not good enough, how can you give your all? You need to believe it 100%. Then you had the Japan loss in the pools, and it's just the final nail in the coffin, brought the whole thing crashing down, the realisation that it's over, they're not going to win this World Cup. Then you go into that game against New Zealand, and it's just not there. They know it's not there, they know it's not going to happen, and it goes even worse than maybe, you know, it could have. So, I think there's evidence for this theory for sure. I've seen it in performances on the pitch, of course. I've seen it in interviews, you know, saying we're a bit flat. Why are we flat? Why should they be flat? It makes no sense. We're low on confidence. They're fragile. And I think it's just this hit. The big realisation that they'd got it wrong. It just came too much in the end. Anyway, going forward, that's my theory. Let me know what you think about that. Going forward, there are lots of positives, okay? A failure in the World Cup means it's nice and clear what they need to do. Andy Farrell needs to make a big new start and different game plan, different personnel. It's going to be pretty radical, I hope. I really think it needs to be. Ireland have had some amazing players a part of their journey. Sexton, Best, Carney, Healy, Peter O'Mahony, Earls. They've all been unreal for Ireland. So give them a good send-off, but are they going to be playing in the next World Cup? Probably not. So move them on either slowly as part of a transition, or a couple of them maybe straight away, to be honest. They probably need to do that. Who's the heir apparent at 10 for Sexton? Well, I think it's Carbery. I've said before, he's the talent. He clearly needs lots of practice at 10 internationally, and it's not his fault. He just hasn't really had it, and the game plan doesn't really suit him. So I'd build the game plan around him. I'd build it around Lama at 15. I'd build it around James Ryan, who I would bring in straight away as the captain, straight off the bat, give him a whole 4 years to get his team to grow into it. Ireland's skill definitely needs upgrading a little bit, and when I mean upgrading, as in not just the basic skills, as in all the extras, running off the ball, the pull behinds, the offload, don't offload, go from quick to slow ball, you know, just being a little bit more rounded in their skill set and being comfortable doing that. But what Ireland have got going for them is their age groups have been great. They've got that sorted, they've got the structure sorted, and they've been performing really well. So the talent is absolutely coming through, and if Andy Farrell wants to change up the game plan, these players, I believe, will be able to handle it. It's a clean slate, James Ryan as captain, moving a few players on, changing the game plan, different coaches, well, different head coach. You've got Mike Hack coming in as the attack coach, and he'll have loads of new ideas for sure. He definitely won't want to play the Green Machine way, that's for sure. So anyway, good luck to Ireland building towards 2023. Definitely my wishes are all for you. I've enjoyed watching Ireland in their build up to the World Cup, even though it did go so wrong. How are they going to go into the future? What went wrong? I want to know your thoughts, and until next time, I will see you later.